Get ready, y'all, because this is going to be a gas. Hi, how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Welcome to this modified, slightly hybrid version of Chatting on the Porch. Now, I say slightly modified and hybrid because I've been advertising it all day long. We're going to take a look at the interview with CNN that they did with Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz at 9 o'clock Eastern. But for the first hour, we're going to be hanging out together, talking about some things going on in the news, things been happening through the day, doing a little pregame analysis for the interview. And let me tell you something, the rumors are already flying around about what this interview is and is not. And if this thing is truly living up to the rumors that I'm hearing right now, man, Kamala may have set herself up for one hell of a headache. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So please, 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 pretty please, if you're not subscribed to my channel on YouTube or Rumble, please go ahead and do so. I would really appreciate it. Our little channel is a going concern. We'd like to make it a going big concern, but we can do that only with your help. Give a thumbs up, leave a comment in chat, share the link around, tell your mothers, your brothers, your lovers, your sisters, your misters, hey, this guy may look goofy, but he knows what the heck he's talking about. Get in here. You need to listen to some of this. Oh, yeah, that's right, WWG1. You get to hang out with me for an hour. There you go. What more could you ask for out of life? Well, I can think of some things. A deserted island, Salma Hayek, unlimited supplies of food and liquor. That's just me. Anyway, again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Welcome tonight to Chatting on the Porch. We're going to do the first hour of our show as our normal get-together and talk about the news. And then we're going to talk about, actually listen in on this interview between CNN and Kamala Harris. We are so glad to have you guys here tonight. Let's see who's in the house. TBA is here over on Rumble. Howdy, Fedora Nation. I heard she couldn't talk to save her life. Brother, I tell you what, I am hearing all kinds of things about this interview. Don't know how long I'll be hanging out with y'all night. Well, you know what, TBA? That's all good. Trust me, you not have a thing to worry about as far as I'm concerned. Brother, you can hang out as long as you need to, as little as you need to. We love you. We love the fact you're here. So you know what? Shout out to you, Wingnut. I love you. But for however long you're here, you're always welcome. Same thing goes for WWG1, that raving lunatic over there. And I'm just waiting for Zippy to drop in the house because this ought to be good. Let's see. Who else is here? Good evening, Miss Gypsy. Midmo's here. How you doing? Yeah, I got a thing for Salma Hayek. I'm sorry. That's just, oh, Lord. I mean, look, I think she's selling herself short. Currently, she's married to some French billionaire, and why is she wasting her time with him when she could have me? Seriously. What's the matter with this woman? I tell you, it's ridiculous. No, I have not seen this. But if you've got it, shoot it to me. I'll put it up there because I tell you what, guys, I'm serious about this. And TBA says, you're not a billionaire? Believe me, TBA, if I were a billionaire, the quality production of this program would be a whole lot higher than what it is. No. Did you see The Hitman's Bodyguard? I have heard about this movie. Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson, and my beloved Selma, who is on my list of future ex-wives. But no, I have not seen that movie. Although I need to sit down and do it. TBA says the mice would be replaced with a real server. Yes, among many other things that would be done to upgrade the quality production of this show. Who else is here in the house tonight? Okay, so she sent it over to me. All right, we're going to get to it. We'll get to it, dear. I promise you. Yeah, we've got a little bit of time before the interview starts on CNN, and we're going to have some guests popping in, although I'm not going to. There's one I'm really hoping if he gets here, because, Lord, he and I have not. I miss him. I haven't talked to him, and he's been on my mind, and it's like, I I need to get this cat back in here. And I told him over the weekend, I said, dude, you need to message me because it's been too long since you and I have terrorized the internet together. So there you go. WWG1 says, you have quite a stable of future ex-wives. Do you wish to share a little, or are you keeping them all to yourself? Now, look, this stable of future ex-wives in my mind, look, now I don't know what they're thinking about doing. I know how I feel about the issue. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not sharing a single solitary one of them with you. I love you guys. But these future ex-wives of mine are kind of like my personal, harem. So, no, I'm not sharing anybody in my harem. No, they get on my list of future ex-wives, and I'm not sharing. I love y'all, but it ain't happening. Oh goodness. Oh, really? Really? Goodness me. Oh dear. Guys, I am telling you what, I am hearing all kinds of stories about this interview. Now, we're not going to know until we know, but I've heard any of the following. The interview is as little as 18 minutes. That's number one. That's what I've heard so far. Number two, CNN will not release an unedited transcript of the interview. Okay. Apparently, this is at the request of the Harris campaign. Number three, the optics are terrible as far as how she looks. I need to look at that too. I need to look for that too. You may have. I have not seen that. Yeah. TBA says 18 minutes, no transcript because it's gobbledygook. Well, that could very well be, brother. I mean, I'm telling you. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, no. This thing may be edited. That's what I'm saying. And I'm telling you what right now, if this thing is as controlled, scripted, and inorganic as I think it's going to be, dude, she has absolutely set herself up for a whole myriad of problems. Now, like I say, we've got some time before we get to the actual interview itself, and I've got some folks coming by. They'll probably be here around 20 till 9, and I'll be interested to get their reactions. TBA says all they had was 18 minutes of edited video. Yikes. Yikes, that's what I'm saying. Now, again, we don't know this yet. We haven't seen it. Okay? But I'm telling you right now, the clips that I had, because CNN's put out a couple of clips to try and, whet the appetite, so to speak, and garner attention. And I know there's 1,000,001 content creators out there tonight that are absolutely tuning in for this thing. Okay? And that's fine. I think we all should. Because, I mean, look, in all seriousness, like her, don't like her, agree with her, don't agree with her, vote for her, I'm going to not vote for her, fine. She's running for president of the United States. This is an opportunity for we the people to try and figure out what it is that she wants to do as the leader of not only the United States, but the free world. And, I absolutely, and given how few interviews the woman's done up till now, which is none, I'm not surprised that anybody is setting up shop to hear this one. But if this thing is about to do what I think it's about to do, this is going to backfire on her. I'll make you one prediction right now, having not seen the interview yet. If this thing does what I think it's going to do, you won't necessarily see the effect in the polls. But what you will see is a cementing of an opinion about her. And that opinion is not good. And I'll get to more of that later. All right, I'll tell you what. Let us, as we are wont to do, start with some memes for the evening, which kind of, shall we say, clean the palate, set the appetite, whet the appetite, that sort of thing. Give me 1 second here, and I'll get some stuff pulled up. I found this one today, and I thought this one was very, it's kind of amazing. Memes are the great storyteller right now of the 21st century. in the way that a political cartoon inside of a newspaper used to do, and still does to some extent, but it doesn't quite have the import and the power that it used to have since print journalism is kind of on the wane. But a meme on the internet is something that is just as powerful as what a political cartoon in a newspaper used to be. At least that's the comparison that I make. And with that, check this one out. They held power for 12 of the last 16 years, yet they still blame Trump for everything wrong with the U.S. while claiming they know how to fix it. Guys, I don't know about y'all, but that one's pretty profound and actually very, very true. I mean, think about it. And they're right. Obama had 8 years, Biden's had 4. But yet everything that's wrong in America is Donald Trump's fault. But despite the fact that everything's Trump's fault and that they've held power for 12 of the past 16 years, they know better than anybody how to fix the problems. Huh? What? Huh? Anyway, so there's that little gem. And then there's one more here that I thought was just hysterical. And this was compliments Gypsy. So thank you very much. This first one doesn't come through as cleanly as it would. She always says we're not going back. Well, we're not going back to low prices. And then we've got this one. And given some of the policy prescriptions from these two, yeah, I tell you what, truly, they are superheroes. Truly. I don't know though. I think Tim might need to hit the gym a little bit or run a little bit longer or whatever. That outfit's just not quite. Yeah, it's kind of not necessarily flattering to him. Bless his heart. But yeah, I thought you guys get a kick out of that one. So yeah, we got that going on. So we're about 45 minutes away from the start of this interview, and we've got some other news that's going on. So the other day, oh gosh, is this true? No, I believe it when you tell me, but if they really think about this, holy cow. Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that here in a minute too. I got a story about that, which we ought to talk about, which that town hall is going on right now, is from what I understand. So the other day, Donald Trump takes to Truth Social and he announces that he's reached an agreement with all the parties involved that for the debate that's coming up on September the 10th, which right now is 12 days away. Oh my gosh. 12 days away. 13 days. Let's call it 13. 13 days away. That he's reached an agreement and all the rules that were in place for the debate at CNN will be abided by at ABC. Well, no one had heard anything from the Harris campaign, and some people were kind of wondering, well, is this just Trump trying to maneuver for better position, or did he actually secure the deal? Well, folks, it turns out Trump did indeed secure the deal. From the New York Post, headline, ABC News rejects Kamala Harris's last-minute bid to change the Trump debate rules and will keep mics muted. Story by Diana Glebovi and Stephen Nelson. We've got the following. ABC News has declined to adopt Vice President Kamala Harris's request to have wholly unmuted microphones during the September 10th debate with former President Donald Trump after days of wrangling over what Republicans viewed as Democratic attempts to lay a trap for the GOP nominee. A network email reviewed by the Post lays out similar rules as those for Trump's June 27th CNN debate against President Biden, including no audience, no pre-written notes or props, and muted mics when a candidate is not speaking. Trump and Harris will be standing on stage and will be allowed to have a pen, a pad of paper, and a bottle of water. The Republican campaign has insisted had insisted the debate, set to be held at Philadelphia's National Constitution Center, followed the same rules as the June showdown with Biden. However, Harris's team claimed Monday that they wanted both candidates' mics on for the entire 90-minute forum. A top Trump ally said ABC News had informed both campaigns in writing last week that would employ the CNN rules, and both had confirmed that September 10th was a go. Quote, "At this point, Team Harris is going to be taking an L when they finally accept, as the debate rules aren't changing, or they'll take an even bigger L if they back out of the debate because the Dana Bash CNN interview goes poorly," the person said. The email seen by the Post that was sent Tuesday by ABC News chief counsel Eric Lieberman, it reiterated the rules and asked the campaigns for their formal acceptance. After the Post reported on the ABC News email Thursday, Harris campaign spokesperson Brian Fallon said the Democrats have been asked to accept the Trump request to have the muted mics, but expressed frustration and said the Harris team remains, quote, in discussions with ABC on the final rules. Quote, "Our latest understanding is that even though Trump said Monday he would be fine with an unmuted mic, his handlers don't trust him to spar live with Vice President Harris and are asking ABC to ignore Trump's comments and keep the mics muted, or else they will back out of the debate for a third time," Fallon wrote on Twitter. "We have been asked to accede to Trump's handlers' wishes on this point for the sake of preserving the debate. We find the Trump team stands to be weak and remain in discussions with ABC on the final rules." Okay, Fallon, I got bad news for you, son. You can argue with ABC about this all you want to. It ain't happening. They've already told you you're going to get the CNN rules, just like Trump. These rules are in place, and here you go. Okay? That's it. You can stand there like, I don't know, old school Billy Martin from the Yankees and kick dirt on the umpire and all that good stuff, but he's not going to change the call. This is how it's going to go. You're stuck with it. So quit your whining, gird up your loins, and have your girl get on stage. Anyway, we continue. The Harris folks are completely out of it. Trump campaign senior advisor Jason Miller told Newsmax on Wednesday, "Everything was agreed to and set last week. The Harris people are trying to distract and come up with something shiny to move away from the fact that she's not doing interviews. ABC has not responded to repeated requests for comment." It is widely assumed that Harris wanted the microphones unmuted to deploy an interjectory line to garner viral buzz. Harris, a former prosecutor, generated sympathetic coverage for delivering a stern "I'm speaking" rebuke in 2020 against then Vice President Mike Pence, depicting him as sexist. After savaging Biden on a presidential primary debate stage in 2019 for opposing federally mandated interracial school busing. "That little girl was me," Harris emoted in a racially charged attack that prompted a furious future First Lady Jill Biden to say the California senator should go F herself. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. Both debate stage quotes were later used in pro-Harris campaign merchandise. Oh, that's funny. So, yeah. It's set. Like I said, she and her campaign can sit there and all they want to, like a bunch of yapping chihuahuas, but the reality is they're stuck with it. ABC has ruled on the question. You're getting the CNN rules. Everybody's going to abide by it. You get a glass of water, a pen, and a pad of paper. That's it. No access to outside notes, no access to Google, no unmuted mics, nobody's sitting down, etc. Which, by the way, keep your eyes on this interview tonight. Okay? And I'm serious about this. Keep your eyes on this interview tonight. And keep in mind, she's sitting down. And that's Kamala, I mean. Just, there's going to be, if the images that are coming out so far are true, then she has a very, very, very big problem, among others, which one of them just surfaced today, by the way. It's about 20 minutes after 8. It is here. We are chatting on the porch. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. We are on Rumble. We are on Twitter. We are on YouTube. So we're here kind of doing some like, warm up for the for the interview tonight. And I've got some guests that are going to be stopping by here a little while Two of them are for sure going to drop in, and there's a third one. I hope he gets here, but if he can't, that's all cool too. Anyway, please, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. I'd love to get your subscription. Also, YouTubers, please do me a favor. Please do me a favor. Double check your subscription. YouTube's been playing games with me, and I'm sick and tired of it, so I'm going on the warpath. Every time I go on the internet live, I'm going to ask you to check your sub. And I know I apologize if it's me beating a dead drum, but every time I look, YouTube goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down with my subscribers. And I'm like, no, I'm tired of this. Now, granted, I'm not big time yet, but I don't like losing subs. Now, if it's me just not being, talented or interesting or whatever, fine. Everybody's got their right. But if YouTube's playing games with me, I'm not going to tolerate it. So the best thing I can ask you guys to do, if you're subscribed to me on YouTube, check your subscription. And if you're not subscribed to me on Rumble, go over there to Rumble. And if you're not subscribed on either place, what the heck's the matter with you? Go ahead and sub. You know you want to. All right. Let's shift gears. Okay. See, thank you for checking. I genuinely appreciate that. Appreciate it. I said that Kamala's starting to develop some problems. And one of them is a fairly interesting one. And there's a certain amount of irony in the story that I'm about to talk about, because as I was on my way home tonight to get ready for the live stream, I, whipped through a McDonald's and then I grabbed some grub. Nothing bad. I'm trying to lose some weight, so I'll try to keep it, starting to get in trouble. Well, okay, maybe I misspoke. But you get my point. Now, the reason that I bring up McDonald's is that Kamala Harris, in her campaign speeches so far, talks about the fact, and not just campaign speeches, by the way, out talking with voters, impromptu meetings, etc. She talks about the fact that as a young girl growing up in California, she had a job at McDonald's where she was, handing out French fries. There's just one little problem with that. McDonald's has no record of her ever being employed with their company. Now, how do we know that? Well, it turns out the folks at the Washington Free Beacon have been doing some due diligence snooping, otherwise called proper journalism. Got a story here. I did fries. Kamala Harris claims that she worked at McDonald's, but she never mentioned it until she ran for president. Did she really toil beneath the golden arches? Interesting question. Harris's resume a year after she graduated from college makes no mention of McDonald's. Story by Joseph Simonson, Chuck Ross, and Andrew Kerr. We have the following. The first all-female audience ever on the Drew Barrymore show was whooping and cheering for Kamala Harris, its guest of honor, this April when Barrymore's sidekick Ross Matthews threw a softball at the vice president. Quote, I heard a rumor that you worked at McDonald's. Yes, I did. Yes, I did work at McDonald's, laughed Harris. When I was at school, I did fries, and then I did the cashier. I didn't know that about you, gasped Barrymore. Neither did anyone who followed Harris's long career in public life. That is, until she ran for president in 2019 and began to make the job a centerpiece of her biography. Harris's work at McDonald's, which allegedly took place at a franchise in the California Bay Area the summer after her freshman year in college, is a recent addition to her carefully curated life story. For decades, Harris never mentioned it, not on the campaign trail, nor in two different books. It's absent from a job application and resume she submitted a year after she graduated from college. Third-party biographers did not write about it. Not until Harris ran for president in 2019 and spoke to a labor rally in Las Vegas did she mention the job, telling the crowd that she, quote, was a student when I was working in McDonald's. McDonald's boasts that 1 in 8 Americans have worked at the fast food chain, and Harris, whose campaign is light on policy and heavy on image, has been using her fast food job to portray what the Washington Post, in a credulous piece this month on the Harris-McDonald's connection, described as, quote, her humble background. Harris is the daughter of an eminent cancer researcher, whom her campaign calls a working mother, and a tenured Stanford economist who split when Harris and her sister were children. Early this month, Harris's campaign said she used her McDonald's wages to pay for college. Quote, Vice President Harris is the daughter of a working mother and worked at a McDonald's to put herself through college, campaign spokeswoman Lauren Hitt said this month. A pro-Harris super PAC said she, quote, worked her way through school at McDonald's. And former President Bill Clinton at the Democrat National Convention joked that she'll break my record as president who has spent the most time at McDonald's. At the same time, however, Harris's image makers tweaked the story ever so slightly. According to an August 14th item in Politico, an early cut of the Harris campaign ad said she worked at McDonald's to pay her way through college. Aides changed the script to reflect that she took the summer job just to earn a bit more spending money, as Politico put it. The Politico story, which was published just hours after the Washington Free Beacon reached out to the Harris campaign with a series of detailed questions about Harris's claim regarding her job at McDonald's, didn't say when exactly or where Harris worked at the restaurant. The campaign did not respond to the Free Beacon's inquiries. It is possible that Harris did indeed work at McDonald's in the early 1980s, but the absence of that detail in public records and her campaign's coyness and refusal to provide any further details raise questions about what is now a foundational narrative. On Monday, the New York Times reported without attribution that Harris, who was born in Oakland, California, and moved to Montreal with her mother and younger sister when she was 12, returned to the Bay Area for a summer during college when she worked at a McDonald's in Alameda, a city next to Oakland. Harris was attending college at Howard University in Washington, D.C. If some details have varied while others are murky, that might be because there is no record of Harris mentioning the McDonald's job before that labor rally in Las Vegas in 2019. The job goes unmentioned in both of her memoirs published in July 2010 and January 2019. During Harris's nominating speech at the Democrat National Committee earlier this month, which was framed as multiple news outlets as a reintroduction, she made no reference to McDonald's. At a rally in Milwaukee that same week, Harris omitted any mention of the Golden Arches as well. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Free Beacon also obtained a copy of Harris's October 1987 job application for a law clerk position in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. On that form, Harris, who was in law school at the time, listed several jobs, including a month-long clerical job at a stock brokerage. In a section were asked to list every position she'd held in the past 10 years. McDonald's is absent, and here's a copy. Here's a copy of the application to work as a clerk for the Alameda County District Attorney. No reference whatsoever to her job at McDonald's. Nothing. Harris lists 3 jobs on the application, 5 in total on an attached resume, according to the documents obtained through a public records request. Harris, who submitted the application as a second-year student at then University of California Hastings College of Law, including granular life experience on her resume, extensive travel in India, Africa, and Europe, and lived in Montreal, Canada for 6 years, but nothing about McDonald's. Oh my, folks. I think she has, how shall we say here? Is it fair to call it that she lied? Or do we just say she misspoke? WWG1 over on Rumble says she worked at Five Guys. She did do Five Guys. Oh my God! WWG1, stop it. Stop it. Good evening, Sculpt. Glad to have you. Oh my gosh. WWG1 says, regarding McDonald's, Harris was the clown. She didn't work the right. Will you stop it? Oh my God. Ask her how the McRib was made. I am just, oh my. God, Ruben, you are awful. You are just plain awful. Oh, this audience, I tell you what. Yeah, folks, it looks like this is a fraud. Now, granted, in the grand scheme of things, is this thing about her working at McDonald's, a huge deal? No. But there is a valid point to be made here, and this comes from This comes from Miranda Devine, the absolutely fabulous reporter at the New York Post, talking about this story. This is bad. Dems are trying to laugh it off, but it just adds to the coagulating impression that she is fake. Combined with Mr. Stolen Valor, it's a toxic ticket. And you know what? Miranda's absolutely right. I totally agree with this. Look, in the grand scheme of things, in one sense, it's not that big of a deal. Okay? I mean, I get what she's trying to do. She wants to show that she has the touch of the common man or the common woman. Okay? I identify with the struggles. Hey, look, I worked at McDonald's too at one time in my life. It's one thing to say that. It's another thing to say it and it never be true. Look, we're going to look at something here in a second in the lead up to the interview tonight, which is going to take place here in about a half an hour. She is starting to be perceived as insincere, fake, fraudulent, aloof. I mean, I could go on with a list of names. Now, people are going to sit there and say, well, you're supporting Trump. Of course you're going to say that about. No. I'm not the only one that's coming to these conclusions. And even if I were not on the right side of the political spectrum, I'd still say this about her. I mean, look, there are people who are supposedly on the political right that they're supposed to be the people that are in my camp. And I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't give you a plug nickel for them because I can take one look at them and go, you are the most insincere SOB that's walking God's earth. I ain't going to have a thing to do with you. And I wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. Now, I'm not saying I'm the best judge of character. I'll freely concede that. There are people who've snowed me over the years. But even if they were on the right side of the political spectrum, I still wouldn't have anything to do with them. And where Harris is concerned, no, I'm sorry. It's starting to become obvious. And yeah, Gypsy, I absolutely agree with this. I absolutely agree with it. You know, let's see. Minmo says, I heard that McDonald's disavowed her claims. They didn't employ her. She said she did fries. The simple fact that she hasn't given any interviews or legitimately answered any questions in over a month is now my best tell that she doesn't know what the hell she's going to do. That's a great point. Look, what I'm about to say next is not necessarily original to me, but the more I watch her, the more I really become convinced we are dealing with a very insecure personality. Okay? And insecurity is not necessarily confined to a sex. It could be an insecure man or an insecure woman. But I'm telling you, the more you watch her, this woman is not comfortable in her own skin. This one, and I'm not trying to beat up on her. I mean, it's just a fair observation, I think. She's not comfortable in her own skin, and you can just tell it by looking at her. She's not. She's very insecure. And the embellishments about McDonald's and the things that she did as a prosecutor and then as the attorney general, et cetera, and so on. She's just not she's not a person secure in her own self. TBA over on Rumble says Harris wants to be seen as a woman with a common touch, but she's touched so many that maybe it's lost some of its commonness or something. Oh my God. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those nights, folks. I'm just y'all are getting warmed up. I can tell already. Okay, hang on a minute. Ruben sent me something. Let's see what's going on here. I got to check this out. Give me a second, folks. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, yes. Ruben, I saw this earlier, and we're going to play this. As a matter of fact, we may as well just go ahead and do it now since we're sort of on the subject. Let me find my link to it. Yeah, here it is. Ever since this union has sort of occurred between MAGA and MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, there has been some interesting synergy. I tell you what. And again, I realize that this is an alliance on a limited number of issues. I get that. But I tell you what, the energy and the passion that Bobby Kennedy and his people are starting to bring to this thing is amazing. And we've got a really good example of that. Nicole Shanahan, his former running mate when they were running as an independent ticket, just put out an ad today. And I haven't watched this thing yet, but it's got quite the buzz on it. So take a look at this because I think you're going to find this really interesting. As always, give me a sound check. Let me know we're good on the sound. And here we go.
Are you or your loved ones suffering from illnesses such as TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? Do you dismiss or deny the current issues facing our country, such as historic inflation, illegal immigration, corporate corruption, World War III escalations, and the chronic disease epidemic? Are you willing to elect someone who was the least popular vice president in modern history, and who offers no policy or vision for America simply because your brain keeps telling you anyone but Trump? If so, you might be struggling from TDS. Introducing Independence. Independence allows you the freedom to finally think independently once again. Instead of believing everything you hear from the mainstream media, Independence allows for constructive critical thinking.
I used to hear people on the news say things like,
Donald Trump and the movement he has encouraged are a threat to democracy.
And I instantly believed it. With Independence, I now realize the media is run by the Democrat elite, who are a corrupt oligarchy that censors free speech, silences political opponents, supports forever wars, and abandons democracy by anointing its candidates.
Independence may not be for everyone. If you enjoy being lied to about your president's cognitive abilities, support Orwellian totalitarianism, or are excited about communist fiscal policy, Independence may not be right for you. Common side effects of Independence may include an awakening of rational thought, successfully identifying propaganda, freedom of choice, loss of hatred, anti-narcissistic behavior, and love of democracy.
I used to blindly hate whoever my party was running against. I didn't care about facts or policy because I was hopelessly indoctrinated. With Independence, I'm much more interested in policies that uphold democracy, and I truly care about the health of our country and its citizens.
Ask your doctor if Independence is right for you, and enjoy your freedoms once again.
That ad is great. That ad, TBA says this ad should run every 15 minutes on every channel. Brother, I absolutely agree with that. That ad is amazing. I mean, I'm telling you, the synergy, the energy that's out there, the passion is just incredible. I mean, don't get me wrong, and I'm not trying to overhype it. I mean, I'm trying to keep myself in check and not let myself get over my skis as far as being an objective commentator about this. But I'm telling you, the energy, the passion is just amazing on the Trump side of the aisle. It really is. And now you hook it up with RFK Jr. and his people. You know, it's like MAGA has been an army, if I may use the term. There's been an army that's been fighting a battle for a long time, and all of a sudden, you know, RFK and his people are kind of like the Rohirrim riding onto the Pelennor fields, and they're bringing something new and amazing to this. So yeah, I absolutely agree. That ad is extraordinary, just extraordinary. So very cool, very, very cool. All right, it is. Hey, one of my guests just popped in. Let me say hello to this son of a gun. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to one of the coolest cats on the internet, one of the finest commentators out there, and if nothing else, the man knows how to drink Puerto Rican barbers under the table. Say hello to Ruben Christopher Haynes.
That's true. That's true. Oh,
how you doing, brother?
You remember that? Because the guy actually got drunk. That's big. I got it. No, he wanted to have a bottle of Hennessy, so I got 2 bottles, and then the guy couldn't finish his bottle.
Dude, when you told me that story, I went, dang. I got mad props and respect for this guy.
Some people, it's like, I don't understand. No, because here's the thing is, it's kind of funny. When I see when I grew up and I would watch, you know, the Revenge of the Nerds or Animal in the House, you see those movies. Well, that's all video because it was kind of still kind of young when I saw them. But you know, and they drinking and they partying and all that stuff, having a good time. And then I went to college too, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that. Yes, you do it one time, it's fine. But I had the tolerance, so it's like whenever they have like these get-togethers like the ones in Vegas that we go out. I stayed out till like 3 a.m. last time.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'll just enjoy. So just have fun, you know. Unlike you have to, but again, you have to know your limits, and Kamala doesn't know her limits.
Oh boy, does she not know her limits? Oh my
No,
word!
But the whole idea is, and again, if anybody says, well, if she lied, what you're going after her for saying that she worked about, but you know, but what did Trump ever lie about doing that he didn't do?
Yeah, that's a great point.
You
Absolutely
know,
great point.
You know, nothing. It's like,
yeah,
I don't get it. I really don't.
All right. Well, first of all, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay. Still a little weak, but I'm fine. But
Okay.
you know, but that video, when I saw that, I went, at first when I started playing it, I said, okay, this is from Trump's team that did this. It's going to say I'm you know, Donald Trump and I approve this message. When I heard it was from Nicole shit. I went, what? And I went, what? And I went, wait a minute, hold on here. What is going on here? So I really think, again, she's a socialist. Is she a socialist, or like, what is she?
She's a bit of a lefty on a lot of issues, much like RFK. But like I said, I know that this is an alliance built around a limited number of issues. I can respect that. But I'll tell you one thing: the passion, the energy, the everything there that RFK and his folks are bringing to it.
But again, but what's so weird is everything that they are talking about that I've heard them talk about, you know, getting the chemicals out of the food, the vaccine stuff, you know, and then with the idea of having democracies or having a voice and not doing anything by, you know, control, which is what she's mentioning, talking about recently. Because again, her big like aha moment was, wow, they just basically kicked out Biden, put her in, and it just lock and step. Everyone is like the hive mind update. Everyone has to do it. And it's basically, it goes to the again, not to be conspiratorial, but it goes to the whole idea that it is very, very, well, I know, I'll just say it. I have known for a very long time that the vast majority of people are really, for lack of a better term, retarded, and will just believe everything they see. And I remember it was right before the pandemic happened, and it came up. I was active on Facebook theoretically, you know, but again, I humored people on Facebook, but it was there. And I would be the website I would go to when I got started my day. I would go to Facebook, see what was going on with everybody, blah, blah, blah. I no longer follow anybody. I'm off Facebook because again, that whole debacle of everything from 2020, 2021 just destroyed my perception of black pill being for everything. But what happened is they were doing if you stand your broom at this certain time of the day, it's never going to happen again. And I went, are you guys morons? It always happens every year. And then they were saying it over and over and over again. Hello. And it was the same thing with, it was the same thing with the blue dress, white dress, gold thing and all that stuff. People are so focused on the mundane and the innate. And I'm going, this has to be planned. And I said, if you fall for this, you'll fall for anything. Not but 1 month later, lockdown, 6 feet apart. And still, I'm reminded by the weirdness of people that are still weird, still wearing a mask. And I just went off. So that was basically it. So then her interpretation of the whole situation is, people just got, you know, a lot of people are just falling asleep and not doing anything. And what's really weird is, I don't know if we could pull up the figures. The amount of people who are eligible to vote but do not vote, I think, is around 60%. Is that correct, you think?
I think that's about right.
So that tells you that 55 to 60% of Americans that are eligible to vote are black pilled.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially, we have to say they are black pilled. They say that their vote won't count. the people that are voting right now, who've been voting, I think was it Obama? I think the voting people was about 51% got that much of Americans voted with Obama. It went up, but it didn't go that high. It's still 50 or not even 60% of people voting. So the message that I think that's come out of this is, if you have this coalition, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, all former Democrats, even Donald Trump, former Democrat, coming together, none of these were Republicans at all. They're independents.
That's the fascinating part about it. Yeah. And with that, let me bring in another guest who's dropping in tonight from Real Talk with Darius Simpson. Good evening, sir.
How we doing, gentlemen?
Very good. Now, let me ask both of you fellas something. Has anybody seen the snippets so far that have been put out of this interview?
I've seen one.
Okay. Darius, what was your impression?
Sounds very Kamala-ish.
All right.
The one I saw had to do with Dana Bash asked. I forget the question she asked, but the answer was having to do with the deadline and time.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
she didn't give an answer.
What?
Yeah.
No. But what really blew my mind was Dana Bass. God, she's the way the softball was. She asked the question and answered it for her before she even finished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's their MO. That's their way of helping out, just like they did Joe Biden. That's their way of helping.
What are you doing? Ask the question. Don't ask it and then say, "What did you did this?" But then because now you're changing mind because you did this and because you have the experience now. You're answering it. You're left leading the witness. Mike, what are you doing?
That's what I was thinking. Right.
What are you doing?
Good point.
That's what exactly.
There are things about this I don't understand. Okay, and there's a ton of things. Number one, Donald Trump is almost 20 years her senior.
Mm-hmm.
This man has done, at least in the past 3 weeks that I can think of, 5 different interviews that have exceeded, that either were at or exceeded 1 hour in length.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And talking on any number of subjects.
He goes at least 2 hours.
In some cases, 2 hours. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking to people on the left. He's talking to people on the right, people down the middle. He's talking to live streamers. He's talking to the press. He's talking to Dr. Phil. He's talking to anybody. And again, not out of a sense of desperation, because they've asked, he'll talk to them, which I think the fact that he is, in one sense, bypassing mainstream media is one of the smartest things he could ever do. He's got an interview coming up with Lex Friedman somewhere in the next week or 10 days. And that's going to be a fascinating, because as I understand, Friedman's a lefty. Okay?
So who is, in short, who is Lex Friedman? I think I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with him.
I'm not that familiar with him either, but the reputation that I've always heard of him is that he's someone from a little more to the left of the political spectrum. Okay, but he's got a YouTube audience like 2 million people, I think. Yeah. Now, Kamala, on the other hand, has done her first interview for 18 minutes.
Edited,
pre-recorded on CNN with somebody who's interviewed her before.
Correct.
And not only all that, she can't do the interview by herself.
Right.
You got to have Tim Walz. Now, you can make the argument, well, there's a history and a tradition of joint interviews between the vice president candidate and the president. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But you're running for president. You have run for president previously. You're the current sitting vice president. You mean to tell me you can't do an interview on your own?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it looks like she's being really dragged by the hand.
Yeah, but I don't know why they put out that clip. That clip, she make it again. If you play the clip, you break it down word for word, and video by video. Because again, if I know editing, if anybody knows how video editing works, you can actually have it it's all the words are talking, and you can have shift back and forth, and you can make it appear as though it's one continuous interview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Well,
you can also select this with the edited way. They did this. Who did this? They did this with Trump. They just did this Trump, and then Trump released the tape. So here's
you
what's
talking about the
yeah,
60-minute
it
interview?
was the 60 Minutes interview with Leslie Stahl back in
That was
2020.
so
I
good.
remember the exact one you're talking about.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. And then of course, remember when Elon did that interview with BBC, and then he asked to do it on Spaces, and they tried to they edited it. They did edit it, but then they didn't. But the unedited version came on X, and it blew out how biased and wrong it is. Oh, your hate. I've seen hate increase. So where have you seen it? On Twitter. Where specifically? Where? Well, it's out there. Well, show me. Example. But it's out there. Like if you're making a statement that something that exists and that's supposed to exist, and then don't show proof, it's all bullshit. That's why. That's why. But again, here's how it is. If I'm a normie and I see all this happens, that would make me increase not to want to vote, to just basically say, screw it, I'm leaving. Which,
Ruben, but you're taking it. But that's you. That's me. That's Brian. Because we're thinking people. You still have a number of people out there who have drunk in the Kool-Aid for so long. Even if you do slap them in the face, they'll say it wasn't a slap.
I know. But again, that's the thing. That's where I believe it's all pre-planned. Because again, in the end, right now they win, and I'll be as gentle as to say this: when things become exposed, or if war begins, something more terrifying happens, which it could happen. There are a lot of self-deletions going to happen because these people are so dependent on the system, and if the system goes down, be it like what we think about that, was it 2003 the big last blackout we had in Northeast happened?
That I'm not aware of.
Yeah, but again, it hasn't happened in a while. But if a blackout happens anywhere now, my gosh, it's gonna be really, really bad. And again,
did y'all probably heard about that book? I think it's called 60 Minutes After, where a gentleman writes the book, and I want to say he's a former CIA officer or something like that is familiar with EMPs, and he wrote this book of what would happen in America that if all the lights, if all the electronics were destroyed or taken out by an EMP, that could be launched over a certain state in this country.
Right.
In 1 year's time, 90% of Americans would die because they don't have any survival skills.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
because I asked some people. It was like I asked people all the time, do you know? Because who knows the basic thing is. Can you cook for yourself? Do you know what to cook, how to eat, where to get food, hunt? Can you hunt? Can you do this? And it's like, feel good. Like, well, no, I can't do it. And it's like, this is like, you're vulnerable. It's not go to the store and get food. If the store is closed or what if everything spoils? And then we have outbreaks of like bacteria infections for eating raw food or bad food, and you hear the poor morons who will go out, cut wood down for a tree, go in their house, put it in their stove or whatever for a fire, and then they die of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Right,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I absolutely agree.
And that's why I want to go somewhere.
Yeah, we're about 7 minutes away from the start of the interview, and I tell you what, just what I've seen, the optics, just the pictures I've seen, still pictures, the optics of this thing, and everything else. I'm telling you, she's not done. If this thing is what I think it's going to be, she has not done herself any favors. Not tonight, and you won't see it in the polling. But you're going to see it in the perception, because when people are asked who aren't even necessarily political, hey, what do you think of Kamala Harris? Oh, man, I don't know about her. And it's not going to be anything they say overtly. You're just going to be able to tell by the reaction to her name.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's going to happen if it really goes bad.
Okay.
Right now, there are fights to get Cornel West off a ticket and RFK off a ticket, and then people are talking about getting Biden off the ticket, on the ticket. What's going on there? They're going to do some shenanigans. If it really goes bad, you're going to have a lot of people, attorneys fighting to keep Biden on the ticket, put him back, or something very wild is going to happen.
Right.
And CNN could release unedited video.
Well, someone brought up a very good point, and let me see if I can find this real fast. That for CNN to not, oh yeah, here it is. I'll pop this up here real quick. CNN refuses to release the transcript or video of Kamala Harris's botched interview at the request of her campaign. This is a violation of the Federal Election Commission's in-kind contribution rule that Donald Trump just litigated in New York. This is an example of catch and kill, according to the Democrats. Well, if that's the case, I agree with what some people are saying, then somebody needs to sue CNN over this. Release
this this happened right now. Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so they're already claiming it's botched interview?
Well,
I've always been prone to hair thinning.
Genetic that for what it's worth.
It's not surprising.
Nobody has seen. Nobody is seen the interview yet.
No. But who if they're reporting that it's botched.
Keep in mind, this is coming from Colin Rugg. He's on the right side of the political spectrum. He's the cone or trending politics, etc., that sort of thing.
Okay.
So you're talking about something from the right side of the spectrum. Let's see what this interview turns out to be.
Okay.
I am very curious where this is.
Because again, here's how it works. If you see the video move and they're still talking, it's an edit.
Right.
It's an edit.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So it's gonna and again, it's gonna skip around. If they edit her responses, then they really are doing something in this service, and they are, because again, if you see Dana, they switch to Dana at some time, and she's still talking, because you see all the time they do that where they have the person just do the nod and they're looking at them and they're not saying anything. If that happens, it's an edit. They cut something out that she said, so they basically told CNN, "Oh, can we just take that back? That's not what I meant to say." It's going to happen already, because again, proof is in the pudding, because she just had a rally and she just botched saying the Supreme Court. She said, I don't know what the fuck she was talking about. I said, is she reading Biden's speeches now?
She pulled a Biden. She pulled a Biden.
I mean, big time.
And I call her Biden 2.0 and her administration, if it goes into effect, if she wins, then I call her administration Obama 4.0.
Yeah. Well, let me play something for you guys that I found earlier today, and it's a very fair question. Donald Trump was doing an interview, I guess at some point today, with the UK Daily Mail, and he's got a real interesting set of questions that he asks here. So just while we're waiting.
First thing I want to do is say, why isn't it live? It's not a live interview. It's an interview that's going to be taped and then edited and then put out. So that's not even an interview. Then she's doing it with her vice president sitting there. So she's not very smart. When they ask her a question that she can't answer, she'll just look at him. You answer it. I can't imagine. Everyone's waiting for her to do an interview because she's been a very big failure in interviews before, as you know, a tremendous failure. And she brings in the vice president, who, by the way, isn't so good himself. He's been a disaster, this guy. He has been a disaster. His state is in a state of shock from his governorship. He's been a horrible governor. You look at employment numbers, you look at the people that are leaving, you look at all of the problems. Minneapolis is a burned down. They never built it back. It was terrible. He's been a terrible governor. It was a crazy pick, but he's sitting with her to help her out. So this is not the kind of a person we need as president.
You know, say what you want to, but he's got a valid point. Mm-hmm. Why is she doing this with Walz? Why can't she do this on her own? Now, again, it's sort of her choice. If she wants Tim Walz there, that's up to her. I get it, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, they could do a joint interview at any other time.
Right.
To me, if I'm the campaign, I want the whole spotlight on her and nobody else.
Exactly.
If you want to do a joint interview later while you're somewhere on the road, bus tour, which they're doing a bus tour through Georgia right now. That's part of the impetus for this interview. That's fine. I get it. But this is post-convention. She is the candidate, not Tim Walz. He's the VP. Her. Why can she not do this on her own? So, top of the hour, we're getting ready for the CNN interview. It looks like they're about ready to cut to it. Folks, please subscribe to these gentlemen. They have channels on YouTube and on Rumble. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube and Rumble. If you're not subscribed to me already, we got a real good crowd settling in here on the YouTube side. We got a really good crowd settling in over on the Rumble side. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm known in social media as the Front Porch Conservative. These good gentlemen, the Real Talk with Darius, and we have Ruben Christopher Haynes, one of the smoothest cats strolling around on social media. So yeah, we're just basically waiting for CNN to cut to the interview. It supposedly this thing runs 18 minutes.
That's it.
And then I thought it'd be a whole hour. I really thought it would be a whole hour interview.
That's what I was expecting. Then word broke out late this afternoon. There was like 18 minutes. And I'm sitting here going, the hell?
You know, even hookers in Las Vegas go an hour.
Oh my God.
Ruben.
I'm sorry.
Look, it's been a long time since this girl's been in college, okay? I mean, her college days are behind her. Maybe the whole going the hour thing. Oh, wait, what am I saying? I'm feeding this animal. What am I doing?
I'm just saying.
Go ahead, Brian.
I don't know. Like I said, she flubbed. It was McDonald's strip joint. That's what it was, you know.
Okay, we're looks like 30 seconds away by CNN's countdown. Now, we will keep our interjections to a minimum. Don't worry. If it's only going to be 18 minutes, we'll have plenty of time to comment.
Yeah, but remember, everybody, whenever the video shifts, it's an edit. This is highly edited, and CNN is already being accused of doing some nefarious things with this changing it around. You know, the answers. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. So get ready, folks. Looks like they're going to it. We're going to go to it live as well. Here we go.
In the 2024 campaign, and you will see it only here on CNN.
I don't see anything.
Uh-oh.
Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris and vice presidential nominee Tim Walz.
Oh no.
Just refresh.
Tonight, the new Democratic ticket.
Can you see that CNN symbol?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hang on.
Yes. Okay.
Every dollop
is
so rich.
Yes. I see something. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can kill off some things here to kind of make this thing easier for everybody. Hang on one second. They're on a commercial break. At least. Okay. Hang on. What the heck is this?
Decision.
I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
What the heck is going on here?
What usually
they got you, Brian. They got you.
Planning coming together in a matter of weeks. Tim Walz.
Hang on.
After a historic nomination at the convention in Chicago, on behalf of
historic. What is she talking about?
I don't know. Why are you doing this to me? Hang on, folks. There are always ways to skin this cat, and I will skin this cat. We are not. Somebody has got to be doing this. Hang on, folks. Sorry about this.
That's not your fault.
Yeah, it is.
Wait till it finishes to see if it's gonna come up.
Come on, guy. Come on.
Let it run. Let it run. Let it run.
All right, I'm letting it run. Sorry about this, folks. Give us just a second here. Da, 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 da. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go.
History. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation. And I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families. For example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life, to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be, and I think many of these things that the vice president's proposing are things that we share in values. And the child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. We did it in Minnesota to have a federal partner in this. Unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost.
What?
People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world.
Wrong.
But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it. Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging, what we need to do to extend the child tax to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years, what we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
That's a good question.
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel, in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited. I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35
That's
a
wrong.
month, paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that
So
any
you maintain
longer.
Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that
Bidenomics.
the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping
Trump
the cost
did.
of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000. When we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs.
That's a damn
bringing
lie.
business back to America.
That's a lie.
What we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first
You
day
said
in
yes.
office? You said there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward.
That's a
I
mistake.
kept my word, and I will keep my
Real
word.
talk.
That's a mistake.
What made you change
Yes.
that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that,
He's trying
we
to
can
walk
do what
back.
we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, excuse me, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
Was there some policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now?
What I have seen is that we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
Not answering the question.
Another issue, big one, is immigration. As Vice President, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
northern part of Central America.
The northern part
Yeah.
of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Great question.
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress,
don't even start.
a bill was crafted, which we supported.
Who's conservative, in her opinion? McConnell?
And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border. And because he believes that it would not have helped him politically,
Wrong.
he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to ask about
push it. I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
Just one other question about something that you said in 2019 when you first ran. There was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws, and I would enforce our laws as president.
He served as president to close the border. So.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary?
That's a good question.
And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Good question.
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed. So that is the reality of it. And 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone. I believe it is important to build consensus. And it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone in mind?
I would. No one in particular in mind. We got 68 days to go with this election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse, but I would. I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
She'll never do it.
That was just the start of our wide-ranging conversation, and we have some never-before-shared details about the phone call that changed everything between President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris.
Can you reload the web page?
That's what I'm trying to do while we're on a commercial break. I'm gonna step this down.
There, it came through again. I saw it.
No. It did come through.
It something popped up. So you guys get. I would go reload the browser or something.
That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, all right, fellas. We're on a commercial break. Tell me what you guys think.
This is garbage. First of all, Ruben, they might have heard you over the stream or something when you was talking about being able to notice if the footage was edited or not. That's why we only saw a black screen. That could be the case.
Yeah, probably was. Yeah.
But because Dana, as some of the people in there, some of the guests there, but some of the people who are watching us have noted, maybe Dana's asking some good questions, but Kamala, she's ridiculous. Let me see here. I wrote some notes here. She's talking about the aspirations and goals of the people, a new way forward. My question is what American people is she actually referring to, and what new way forward is she talking about? Because when I've been listening to a lot of news feed or reading comments and news stories, I'm not hearing hardly anyone talk anything about any of the so-called values and policy proposals that she has about the Green New Deal or any of that trash she's talking about. I hear people talk about the economy. I'm hearing people talk upset about what's going on with the education system. I'm hearing people talk about inflation and groceries and prices. All those things, none of which that she's really delved into tonight. So that's one of the things that stands out. I got a list of other things. I'm not gonna hog up the time, but that's one of the things I want to point out.
Ruben,
I was completely confused by what she was making nonsense to me.
Yeah,
complete nonsense.
I agree.
No, and again, the fact that she's saying that she hasn't changed her values, but she's changed her policies.
Well, then the policies ought to flow out of the values.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What scientific paper did you hear that now you're doing fracking? Didn't nothing.
Yeah, and then that's a completely fair question on the part of on the part of Donna, apparently. Good grief.
Man, it's pretty sensitive, aren't they?
Indeed.
While we're going there, why they keep bringing up Trump? Trump hasn't been in office for 3.5 years, and they won't even address Joe Biden's presidency, and they won't even. And yes, Donna did bring up that, hey, you've been in office for 3.5 years. How come you haven't implemented any of these policies that you're now talking about? Then she goes and talks about what Donald Trump this and Donald Trump that. It tells you that Donald Trump is the biggest threat to these nut jobs because of who and what he stands for. And he can clearly articulate who and what he stands for.
I think.
And again, I think, remember when, right now, at least for us, we're having that Nixon-Kennedy moment theoretically backwards because right now,
80 foot long. So that means
X is talking about how bad she looks right now on video. She looks horrible.
Yeah, she really does. And I'm sorry, my apologies to the audience, because I was hoping to be able, and maybe we still can with the time that we've got, to show the physical images, but she does not look good in this. She really doesn't. I mean, I can see it, and I'm hoping that you guys get to as well, but she doesn't look good in this. Oh, yeah, and the professor's weighing in on this. Unforced error after unforced error. Trump right now is in Wisconsin taking unscripted questions in a town hall.
Yep.
The contrast is absolutely stark. And I'm sorry, even for normies that aren't necessarily paying attention to politics, sooner or later, this is going to kick in. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Thank God. Okay.
I agree. Yeah, I was catching a little bit of Trump's interview before we got on.
Okay, they're coming back in. It looks like. So we'll drop our.
In just 12 days, Harris will meet Donald Trump on a debate stage in Philadelphia. And when I say meet, I mean literally meet. Would you believe they have never talked face to face? The only
I can hear.
Okay. Been in the same room was when Harris was a senator watching Trump's State of the Union address. Now it's Trump watching Harris on the campaign trail with money and momentum behind her and making her case directly to voters.
As voters are getting to know Kamala Harris, they want answers on how she will make their lives better. She heard that here at Sandfly Barbecue in Savannah.
What we're going to do to increase access to capital for small businesses, I'll be rolling out next week. Part of what we're going to be doing in terms of a tax credit.
On the trail, she talks about her experience, years in the courtroom as a district attorney and eventually California's attorney general. She wants to reframe the contest as the prosecutor versus the felon.
I know Donald Trump's type. I've been dealing with them my whole career.
The former president is turning to a well-defined playbook of personal attacks.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
And in just 12 days, the nominees will meet face-to-face for the first time.
She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
If you've got something to say it to
Oh, you're going to get your wish, honey.
I want to ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
And he
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it? Let's talk about some foreign policy issues.
She's not black.
If
She
you
ain't black.
become
You ain't black.
President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. He's been doing it for months and months, along with you. Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold some U.S. weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
Let me be very clear. I am unequivocal and unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change. But let's take a step back. October 7, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And we have got to get a deal done. We were in Doha. We have to get a deal done. This war must end.
In the meantime,
and we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
But no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
Good question.
No, we have to get a deal done. Dana, we have to get a deal done. When you look at the significance of this to the families, to the people who are living in that region, a deal is not only the right thing to do to end this war, but will unlock so much of what must happen next. I remain committed since I've been on October 8th to what we must do to work toward a two-state solution where Israel is secure and in equal measure, the Palestinians have security and self-determination and dignity.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know where my heart is, and again,
but you have
my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife,
shut up.
Grammar's not always correct. But again,
no, that wasn't a matter of grammar,
attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have. And I never will.
I just one other question, because again, this is all new. I mean, this was not however many days ago. This was not on either of your bingo cards, especially yours. You had to clarify that you had said that you and your wife used IVF, but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility in order to have children. And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving.
Donna, baby.
What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out. Former
mad.
folks I've served with, and they vouch for me. I certainly own my mistakes when I make them.
His
The one thing
voice.
is I wished in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this.
No. He's mixing both.
That were available
He's
to
mixing
us
both.
and had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast.
He's scared about the drunk driving, and he's
away
thinking
from us.
about IVF. He's lying.
I think people know who I am. They know that record. They've seen that. I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there, and I won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The vice president's position on this has been clear, and I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance to have a beautiful child.
Up next, the moment that changed everything when Kamala Harris got a phone call from President Biden that he was dropping out of the race.
Okay.
Yeah, they're breaking it up. It's so stupid. No, but sorry.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, guys. I really wish you could see the looks on their faces, and I'll tell you what. I'm going to give Dana Bash a lot of credit here. I really am. I sort of thought this might be the case, that she wouldn't give them all softballs. She's putting a few fastballs over the plate. Maybe not the way I'd like, not the way I do.
But they're not. But she's not, and she asked the question 3 times with Walz, and he ducked it all 3 times.
And I'm telling you, this stuff is noticeable. And I'll tell you what's going to really hurt them. The fact they're doing so few interviews, it is now 30 plus days since she became the presumptive and the actual nominee of the Democrat Party. He's been the vice presidential nominee for roughly 20 days? Now they're doing their first interview, and everybody is honing in on every word, every syllable, every gesture, everything. Whereas if they were doing interviews all the time, as Chuck Todd of NBC has pointed out, you could diffuse this. You could just say, it was a bad answer on one interview. Maybe they just weren't, whatever. Oh, no. They're making this situation worse by the way they're handling this. Gents, I'll throw it to you while we're waiting for them to come back.
I think you made an excellent point, because that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, if she's asking these not as softball questions as we would typically expect of them, is because they know everybody's eyes are trained on this moment.
Right.
And like you said, holding on to every word. So, which, that's what I did with, I think it was Chuck Todd and them who did the interview with Trump, moderated him and Biden.
Yeah.
I gave them kudos. They did a good job.
Yeah.
So,
Dana Bash, Jake Tapper, they did a fantastic job.
They did. I gave them credit. So, but it's only because, as you pointed out, because everybody's eyes is trained on them, and they know they're being held accountable. This is what should always happen. It shouldn't take it being one night for less than an hour in this case, much less than an hour, half an hour, for people to actually hold you accountable. This should be honest, integral journalism. So, as far as these guys, first off, what I thought about old Tampon Tim, I just said stop it. Everybody knows him. My question is, where are all their supporters? If they are doing such a good job, if Tim is so well known in his community, and I see some crazy videos about those stupid Tim and his minister, crazy Tim, and then Kamala Harris, if she has done such a wonderful job with being the border czar, you guys are more well-rounded in political circles than I am. So I have a question. Has anybody in our American history been labeled a border czar only to never show up at the border?
That's a great question.
And she admitted she was border czar too. She admitted it right now.
Yeah, and she tried to deny it. And when she first came out, they tried to deny it a few weeks ago when she first was being, slid into office, and while Biden is being booted out, she tried to deny all of that. So if she's been so good once again, why?
Jack. Sorry. Twitter, again, here's the thing. I don't know if a CNN can put a cease and desist on these video clips. Because Twitter is blowing up the clips, and it's crash and burn.
Yeah, this is not. I am dying after we're done tonight to see the reaction on Twitter, because if this thing is doing what I think it's doing,
it's
this is not helping these two.
She's admitted basically the big thing here is that she's admitted that the Inflation Reduction Act was really a backdoor to the Green New Deal. She said that.
Yeah.
And again, that's a thing. It's like, that she's doing this because they want to have more control. And why is she bringing because she thinks Americans are dumb. She really does. She really thinks Americans are idiots. Before again, a child with a little kid would probably think this.
Okay, they're back in. We're gonna go back to listening to this. And let me get it pulled back up here. And like I say, apologies for the fact we don't have a visual, but then again, I'm not sure that's necessarily a bad thing in this case.
Dropping his re-election bid, but before he tweeted the news, Biden called his vice president. And for the first time, we are hearing about that phone call and exactly what Kamala Harris was doing when she answered. But we started this discussion with the moment that set all of this in motion, CNN's presidential debate, and whether President Biden was strong enough to lead this nation again.
Vice President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
Good question.
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room.
This is a mistake.
He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president.
But not
why is he not here?
As the former president has none of that.
Why was he moved in?
So, one, I am so proud to have served as vice president to Joe Biden. And two, I am so proud to be running with Tim Walz
for
president of the United States and to bring America what I believe the American people deserve, which is a new way forward, and turn the page on the last decade of what I believe has been contrary to where the spirit of our country really lies.
But the last decade, of course, the last 3.5 years has been part of your administration.
I'm talking about an era that started about a decade ago, where there is some suggestion, warped, I believe it to be, that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, instead of where I believe most Americans are, which is to believe that the true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. That's what's at stake as much as any other detail that we could discuss in this election.
Because we haven't had a chance to talk, I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here, I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces. And we had just had pancakes and, Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes, I'll make you more bacon. And then we were sitting down to do a puzzle. And the phone rang, and it was Joe Biden. And he told me what he had decided to do. And I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And that's how I learned about it.
And what about the endorsement? Did you ask for it?
he was very clear that he was going to support me.
So when he called to tell you, he said, I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you.
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you. My first thought was about him, to be honest. I think history is going to show a number of things about Joe Biden's presidency. I think history is going to show that in so many ways it was transformative, be it on
I agree with that part.
what we have accomplished around finally investing in America's infrastructure, investing in new economies, in new industries, what we have done to bring our allies back together and have confidence in who we are as America and grow that alliance. What we have done to stand true to our principles, including the one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I think history is going to show not only has Joe Biden led an administration that has achieved those extraordinary successes, but the character of the man is one that he has been in his life and career, including as a president, quite selfless and puts the American people first.
What the fuck is she talking about?
Of the man who chose her to be his running mate 4 years ago. 4 years later, Harris made a choice of her own. And with Governor Walz's rise to national prominence, a star was born at the convention, Gus Walz. We'll hear about that moment between father and son, and could make history in the Oval Office on this.
Hey, you guys.
Madam Vice President, the photo.
Okay. This might be a little longer than 18 minutes.
Yeah, they're cutting it up, so.
Yeah, they're doing that. That's faux show. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. I'm joined by Ruben Christopher Haynes, Darius Simpson from Real Talk. Guys, these two, I mean, look, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think these two are doing themselves any favors with this interview. I'm trying to pop around Twitter right now just to get some gauge of reaction. And even someone like a Frank Luntz, who is no friend of Donald Trump, has said Kamala was asked a specific question about what she would do on day one if elected as POTUS. Her answer is so vague that it was essentially worthless, not a good start. And that's coming from a guy like Luntz.
Right.
So
go ahead.
So what's their plan? Because again, if they basically say we're fucked, we have to like throw her under the bus. Luntz would come. A Luntz coming out and doing that, that's bad news because he is no conservative. And I hate when they say conservative. No, these are the globalists. They want war. They want They want to go to war. They want this to happen. So the only way they can make this happen is if Biden like goes away to La La Land, and she becomes president, or 25th Amendment, or a war breaks out. A crisis has to happen where we need a leader to do something. Because right now, and Trump has said this, where's the president? He's in vacation. Who's running anything right now?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there is no crisis. Nothing's happened yet. Israel hasn't done anything. It hasn't happened. If something happens, then someone has to step up. The only way they're going to make it so is if she will be 47 just because of just something going wrong.
Do y'all know who Gerald Celente is?
I think I've heard the name.
Okay, he's I think he's the owner or host. Well, not host, but he's the owner of a journal called Trends Journal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and anyway, I was listening to him today. I listen to him once in a while. He has some pretty good content. He's just a little too colorful in his language for me, but he has a lot of things to say. He said he thinks between now and but before November, there's going to be a false flag event, and I'm he's not the only person I've heard say something to that effect. You know, on something happening on the American soil in the form of a terrorist attack, like what you've seen in Russia, stuff. You know, things you've seen in France. Places like that is what comes to my mind. So if you're talking about something happening that will cause a leader to step up, that's something that's possible.
Yeah, there's the commentator Lionel has got a has got a tweet and says, "How is the interview going so far?" And he has the image of the burning Hindenburg blimp falling to the ground, and he may not be too far off the mark with that one. I'll show it to you here in a minute. Yeah, it's just this is not.
Well, to me, this has a similar effect to the DNC last week. I mean, my thoughts was this: what would the conversations be like after that? How much have y'all heard about the DNC since then? Except for they gave us a false expectation of Beyonce showing up.
Yeah. Well, I've even heard that she'd bust in people to her rally in Georgia tonight. No, I'm serious. That's actually out there on Twitter right now. They're publishing video.
I'm not surprised. I've heard people getting paid to show up at her events.
Just I'm telling you, this is not doing her any favors. Okay, looks like they're coming back in. Let me pop the sound back up.
Who was supposed to be, if you listened to some experts, a big...
Man, what the heck? Don't you dare do this to me. I've already got enough problems right now.
Name, a prominent leader from a swing state, Pennsylvania or Arizona. But it is a little-known guy outside of his home state, where Minnesota nice is a source of pride. But behind all of that folksy humor and flannel, Tim Walz is far from just being Mr. Nice Guy when it comes to needling Donald Trump.
Governor, you obviously have spoken to voters all over your state for years.
Yeah.
What are you learning in a place like Georgia?
We're seeing explosion in small business growth. The one thing is workforce and childcare, because workers have to have childcare.
Campaigning with Tim Walz.
Don't do it.
Finding his role in this historic campaign.
Would you be my running mate and let's get this thing on the road?
I would be honored, Madam Vice President.
After bursting onto the national stage with this word.
Yeah, that was all staged.
Known as a
the whole video.
Mother of two from rural America, now a running mate who is not holding back.
Listen to the guy. He's talking about Hannibal Lecter and shocking sharks and just whatever crazy thing pops into his mind.
And finding his own rhythm with his new boss.
What'd you order?
Brisket and greens and mac and cheese.
What about you?
I had the brisket and coleslaw on this.
And what about the spice situation, the Tabasco? What's happening with that?
I'm going to let him speak for himself.
The vice president's growing peppers at her residence, so she's trying to bring me along on this. You know, Minnesotans.
It's okay.
I'm getting there.
It's okay. You just do you.
I just have to ask you both about two standout moments, aside, of course, from the addresses that you both gave, but standout moments that were perhaps unexpected during the convention. You mentioned one of them, Governor. A moment that you shared, that the world shared with your son, Gus. You were speaking, the camera caught him, so incredibly proud of you, so emotional, saying, "That's my dad."
Yeah, I don't know as a father I could have ever imagined that. I'm grateful for so many reasons to be on this ticket, but that moment, to understand what was really important, to have my son feel a sense of pride in me, that I was trying to do the right thing. And it was, you try and protect your kids, it brings notoriety and things, but it was just such a visceral, emotional moment that I'm grateful I got to experience it, and I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of Hope. I'm proud of Gwen. She's a wonderful mother, and these are great kids. And I think the one thing is talking about the era we're in is our politics can be better. It can be different. We can show some of these things, and we can have families involved in this. And I hope that I hope people felt that out there, and I hope they hug their kids a little tighter, because you just never know, and life can be kind of hard.
And last question, Madam Vice President, the photograph that has gone viral. You were speaking, one of your grandnieces that you were just talking about was watching you accept the nomination. You didn't explicitly talk about gender or race in your speech, but it obviously means a lot to a lot of people, and that viral picture really says it. What does it mean to you?
I am running because I believe that I am the best person to do this job at this moment. For all Americans, regardless of race and gender. But I did see that photograph, and I was deeply touched by it. And you're right, it's the back of her head, her two little braids. And
all set up.
And then I'm in the front of the photograph, obviously speaking. And it's very humbling. It's very humbling in many ways.
Disingenuous setup photo.
Oh, she had a lot to talk about. She had a lot. She listened to everything, and she listens to everything.
Give you your hot takes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana. Thank you.
This was Vice President Harris's first real unscripted setting where voters could see and hear her explain some of her policy positions now and how they differ from before she became vice president and why. And this was the first we heard those details about an extraordinary phone call from a president dropping out of the race and endorsing his vice president, something that will certainly go down in history. CNN has also invited both President Trump and Senator J.D. Vance to sit down with us. We hope to bring that interview to you as well. We have plenty of CNN special coverage ahead. I want to go to my friend and colleague, Abby Phillip, who is standing by with some of the best political minds in the business.
The hell with that. We've got the best political minds in the business right here. I don't need CNN for that. Okay, let's get into it, folks. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. This is Ruben Christopher Haynes, Real Talk with Darius Simpson. Gentlemen, all right, that was 18 minutes spread out over 45. Your thoughts?
Bunch of hogwash. I just sent you a video about old Tim since they was asking about his treatment of his son. I saw him pull his son or drag his son across the stage the other night at the DNC, old Tim. This CNN is, again, they do stick to their colors in making this out to be more than what it really was. I'm not impressed. Again, it leaves that gaping hole, that the expectations that fell far below that. If you even had some pretty high, some okay standards for this so-called interview. She's talking about reestablishing our basically our dominance and the respect across the board. Those are my words. As far as the international community, they are stripping away American sovereignty, and it started right there at the border. So I don't know what she's talking about on that mess. She definitely did not get any questions regarding. Well, she did get a question from Dana regarding the last 3.5 years of her vice presidency, but she definitely didn't stick to she hardly ever answered any questions, truthfully, and she didn't address any of the issues of what was going on while they were president. She kept referring to old Donald Trump. Remember, people have tape. People can actually, and people have experience. They can go back and check for themselves. They can compare. It's one thing to do all this hogwash and talk, and sling mud at somebody. Donald Trump has a track record. Joe Biden and Vice President Harris has a track record. People can really think for themselves. And from what I've heard, a lot of going around and circulating, certainly not on mainstream media, is people are very disgusted when they go to their bank accounts, look at their bank accounts, when they go to the grocery store, when they receive their bills in the mail. They are very disgusted. So if she was trying to connect with us or even with her base, if they're still connected to this woman, that just says a lot about them. They don't have any taste in my view. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying I was not awed. I'm more disappointed now than before even watching it.
Ruben,
what we witnessed tonight, again, like the Biden and Trump debate, is a pivotal turning point.
Yes.
She can't hide anymore from the American people. And I'll give CNN credit for giving her a good interview. They asked good questions, but she didn't answer them.
Mm-hmm.
And if CNN does their postmortem and doesn't specifically state she did not answer, and if they come out with any glowing review, then they are completely going to be, disingenuous.
Yeah.
So it was a complete disaster. You still have, Trump and Gil Tulsi Gabbard did a joint interview also earlier today, and and town hall type of deal, and the the Harris Walz team is just completely saying, "Oh, that's all lies, this and that." They're bringing up the fact they had the U.S. Army now complaining about Trump doing the Arlington thing, and they're just trying to oh, they all loved her, of course. Okay, yeah, of
That's
course.
garbage.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree with the UPN. That's just garbage.
Yeah. But again, they're going to tout this as amazing. If they do that, then they're just very irrelevant.
Well,
my God!
Oh yeah, tough and transparent. Let me pop this up here, since Darius brought this in. This was at the Democrat National Convention the last night. Tim Walz was walking with his son, had his hand. Judge for yourself, folks. Now, he just jerked him right over. Not even near the teleprompter.
Yeah.
I have had friends of mine, relatives of mine in particular, that he has a temper. I agree with that. You couldn't see the visual, but there were some things that struck me about this interview. Kamala Harris looks small. And by that, I mean this. The way that table was positioned, and when you guys see this on various video clips, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Dana Bash is on one side. On another side is Kamala.
Yeah,
adjacent to Kamala's right is Tim Walz. Tim Walz towers over top of her.
They both do.
But Kamala looks small. Part of the reason I will submit to you, and I've said this before, that Harris wanted a seated debate. The Harris campaign wants to take away the visual advantage that Trump would have of a 6'3" man walking out on stage to shake hands with a 5'4" woman.
But she's tall, short.
Yeah, I mean, now from a purely aesthetic standpoint, and I agree with this. And I am not trying to be sexist with this comment, but it's just true. She looked tired. She looked haggard. I thought that some of her answers, now getting to the answers to the questions, this is classic Kamala Harris. She will take your question, and you could say this of any politician, but it's particularly true in her case. She will take your question and completely do something different with it than what you intend. Go off on a tangent, never answer it. Now, I will give Dana Bash credit. She threw her 3 or 4 really good fastballs. Okay. Mm-hmm. She didn't follow them up as hard as I would have liked.
Right.
But she asked some good questions. Kamala, I'm sorry, she just flat didn't answer. I mean, the one answer that blew my mind the most, do you have any regrets about your candidness with the American people about Joe Biden's health? Nope. None.
Yeah, I put that in the chat. You see, Benny Johnson put the link I sent you in the private. Yeah, it also will show the audience the difference in the position, how tall Walz and Dana Bash are compared to her. She looks like a little midget.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop. Give me a second to set this thing up, and we'll play it. Yeah, this runs about a minute. And again, folks, apologies for the fact we didn't have the visuals. So I don't. That's a StreamYard thing, I think, more so than me, because I tried it a couple of different ways. But folks, take a look at this, and you're going to start seeing what we're talking about here.
Vice President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president.
Okay, but I have a question. If he has all those things, how come he's not running for re-election?
Thank you.
Why is he not the person who's the nominee of the Democrat Party to take on Donald Trump? That's my question. If he's all those things, Why is she the nominee and he's not?
Tell the truth, Brian. Tell it.
I mean, she and the fact that she said, no, I have no regrets whatsoever about what I did or didn't tell the American people. That's going to come back to haunt her.
I hope
that
so.
is going to come back to haunt her.
I hope the Trump administration actually puts a video together.
Oh, if I know those boys, they're already working on it. If I had to guess, let's see. Small Time says, let's see. Dana Bash is 5'2" and thin. Okay, so she's about 2 inches shorter than Kamala Harris. It would be forced perception thing, and maybe Kamala's chair is too low. Yeah. I mean, she looked even smaller than Dana Bash, and Dana Bash is 2 inches shorter than she is. The optics of that just were not good. Let's see. What else have we got here? The 3 women on CNN said Joe isn't running because he's too old. No. Wait a minute, y'all on CNN. You kept telling the American people there's nothing wrong with him. Pardon my French, not a damn thing wrong with him.
That's what they said.
So what the hell?
This is always, it's kind of like a magic trick. You show one hand, with the other hand, you're doing something different. Abracadabra, keep watching this hand, and then they pull out something else. It's just, and again, I think Ruben said it also. They really consider us as stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe what we're watching, and this is just one of the many examples I can use, and we've talked about it a little bit before. If you go back, and I was actually just sharing this with another friend of mine today. If you go back and read the book 1984 by George Orwell, you can literally see a lot of this stuff playing out on the main screen, because what they do in that book, basically the leadership, Big Brother, they will tell you something. They will tell you 2 + 2 is 5. And we want you to be so convinced and so convicted that no matter what you hear from anybody else, or no matter what you see, or even what you know, 2 + 2 is 5. And they're telling us, look at us, believe us, trust us. No matter what you see happening over the border, no matter what you're feeling at the grocery store, no matter what utility, no matter what your bank account looks like, what we want you to know is everything is just fine.
Yeah, and here's the follow-up from up in Connecticut. They said that Biden is fine and mentally acute and smart, but he recognized the fact is no. Remember, Joe Biden said only God Almighty himself would have to come down and get him out of this race. Biden said he had a bad night. There was nothing wrong with him. He never said he was too old to run. He recognized his age, but he never ever said that was a precursor to keep him from a second term. So no, please don't give me this crap about, oh well, he thinks he's too old. That is Bravo Sierra. Absolute Bravo Sierra. I'm not buying it. And we got another clip here from Benny Johnson. I'll go ahead and put this up on here.
I want to ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump. I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah. Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it. That's it. I want to ask you.
Okay. Honestly, I think she did fine right there. I really do.
She had no choice.
Move on.
Listen. When she said that part, that's something else I wrote down that I was going to come back to. When the reason she couldn't give and I'm going to say this as a black man, as an African American, however people like to identify.
Go for it.
She couldn't say anything with that because she would get eaten alive on social media.
Yep.
Because you can go back to 2019 when she was on that little show with that young lady. She's an Indian, she's a Hebrew, and a Hindu, and that cooking show. And
Mindy Kaling. Yeah.
What's that? What's her name?
Mindy Kaling.
Mindy Kaling. And she was talking about, we're Indian and this and this. I have no problem with that. That's your business. I have no issue with that. But she never claimed blackness until it was politically convenient. So she tried to answer this question. If she really wanted in her heart of hearts to say, yes, y'all, I am black. Yes, I went and I told Charlemagne the knot that, yes, I am black. I am this and that. What would have happened? she would have gotten eaten alive. She probably was told, do not, if you get asked this question, do not answer it. Just keep it very short and simple and move on.
Yeah, I'm out on Twitter right now, just as I'm listening to you guys. Robert Gouvet, the attorney, Kamala's interview with Dana Bash draws backlash as critics call it biased, scripted show with Tim Walz joining her. Lionel, the legendary commentator, says the only way this woman makes any sense is if you don't listen to anything she says, and even then, that doesn't guarantee anything.
I like it.
Lionel is absolutely fantastic. I mean, and by the way, Walz didn't do himself any favors either. The whole, well, I used the wrong kind of grammar. What? What? You had a month to come up with an answer to explain, I said I carried weapons of war and in combat, and you never served in combat. It's like, really? I mean,
they should eat his lunch over that too. They should eat his lunch over that, because that's not something you play with. And I've heard some veterans get very, very upset, and even some of his own old teammates. I forget exactly the terminology for, but anyway, his old teammates, his old platoon, they came out speaking against it, but they didn't put it on mainstream media. I think Fox showed some of that, but as far as CNN, MSNBC, they wouldn't put that up there.
Yeah. Here's another great clip, and I think this one again is going to come back to haunt her. Give me a second to get this one set up, because this is good. It really is, and it's a perfectly legitimate question. And this was very early on, and I give Dana Bash a lot of credit on this one. With that, let me get this one pulled up, because this again is going to come back to haunt her.
You have been vice president for 3.5 years. Yeah. The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%.
You have been vice
recovery. Excuse me, I seem to remember that inflation was under control.
Mm-hmm.
The only jobs losses were the ones where people were coming back from the COVID lockdowns, and those were in mostly blue states.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had some supply chain problems, but that was mostly COVID related. The economy was not in nearly as bad a shape as she's trying to make it out, but this is standard Democrat operating procedure.
Right.
We make situations that are not true to justify the policy positions that we had to take, which is what we really want to do in the first place, but we had to convince you that things are bad enough to justify us doing what we really want to do, and has nothing to do with what's really going on.
Right.
Just unbelievable.
This is insane. And the fact is, and I would say this real quick. I really have been talking to some people who, I had one lady today. I had one lady today. She was very upset and irate. I mean, she was talking to me at a place I can't say right now. Anyway, but we was talking, and she was very upset. She was livid, and she was starting to raise her voice. She came out directly. She just asked me plain. She says, "Darius, are you?" And no, she's a white woman, Caucasian, and she being respectful, but she's very direct. We have a relationship, so it's cool. And she says, "Darius, are you voting for Kamala Harris?" And I know what she meant. She was asking me because of my pigmentation, because a lot of black people vote Democrat typically. And so I said, no. I said, I know where you're going. You're okay. It's fine. Go ahead and ask. I said, I have no problem having a candid conversation. I'm good. And somebody else was around. They started laughing. But she was very upset and irate. And she was talking about how bad things have been. She's retired. She lives on certain salary and stuff like that. So she's really being affected. And I've had people cry. I mean, these are the people you won't see on TV.
Yep.
So anyway, I'm sorry to kind of digress a little bit, but this is real life.
And by the way, we've got a reaction from Donald Trump. He just posted on Truth Social. I look forward to debating comrade Kamala Harris and exposing her for the fraud she is. Kamala has changed every one of her long-held positions on everything. America will never allow an election weaponizing Marxist to be president of the United States. Guys, Frank Luntz, and I haven't got it pulled up, but I'll just go ahead and mention it.
Comrade Kamala.
I love it.
Comrade Kamala. Frank Luntz made a really good point in one of his tweets in reacting to the debate tonight. And let me find it real fast. It'll only take me a second. but he's got a, and keep in mind, you may not agree with Luntz, and God knows usually I don't, but he's got a perfectly valid point here, and that is Kamala has done okay at taking down Donald Trump, but not enough at building herself up. I'm not Trump. It's not an effective campaign strategy. She needs to give voters something to vote for, not just an opponent to vote against. But the other point that he made, and this is really good. Let me find it here real fast. And it's basically this. She did well tonight, but the problem is she's left herself open that somebody in a good debater is just gonna really just knock her around pretty good. And you know what? I can't disagree with that assessment. I really can't. Hang on, I'm desperately trying to find this real fast. Come on. Let me see if I can get to this. Here it is. I realize a lot of people think Kamala Harris has done well so far in this interview. I disagree. A good debater will find it easy to challenge her, and that's just it. Dana Bash may have pushed back a very little bit, but she didn't push back like Donald Trump's going to. He's going to push back with the force of a bulldozer.
Yep.
And now let me also be very clear on something here. Okay. I am not saying that Donald Trump is going to win this debate. I don't know. Hang on. I'm serious. I have no idea what's going to happen on September 10th. Mm-hmm. I really don't. Trump might go in and lay an egg for all I know. Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, a lot is riding on this debate for both of them. Okay.
Okay.
I think she has more. She's got to do a whole lot more in that debate than Donald Trump does. Trump just needs to go in, be calm, be cool, make his points, show where she's being a fraud, shake hands, and walk out. That's all he's really got to do. Just stay disciplined, stay focused, get your message out, show where she's an inconsistent fraud, and you're done. She's got to land a haymaker on him. She's got to. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, Brian. So, and this is for both of you guys. Start with you, though, if you would, Brian. So, based on what we just witnessed, what we just saw, and what we just heard, what more can she offer that's going to make we're going to still watch it and commentate on it, but what's going to make it must watch TV when she and Trump meet?
I don't know. and I'm not trying to not answer your question. I'm just trying to be honest. I don't know. What does she do? I mean, and Lana, she makes a great point. She's not prepared for what's about to happen.
I know.
If Trump is on his game, and again, I am not saying he's going to win this debate. I want to be very clear about this. Okay, I'm supporting Trump, but I don't know what's going to happen come September 10th. Mm-hmm. But I think she's right. If he's on his game, those CNN rules are going to help. And again, I am not trying to be overconfident about September 10th, and I don't think you guys are either. So, I mean, don't misunderstand my reaction to what you guys are saying. But I'm just like, this lady has no idea the steam train that's coming down the track.
Well, here's what we have to worry about. Here's where if we genuinely have to worry about something.
Yeah.
Let's monitor from now till September 9th the pizza deliveries to the Pentagon and other government agencies. If they start exploding up, we say, "Oh my God, release the boats! I'm gonna do it now."
Yeah, we're gonna have a Dr. Strangelove moment here. I mean,
that's where we're really at now. They have nothing left because what's gonna happen? This was her moment. This was the moment, and she blew it.
That's my point. That's what I'm trying to see is I want to give her a fair shot. I would love to see a head-to-head. Officer Tatum talks about this. He wants, he wished Kamala was better than Trump in terms, and so you could actually, you hear Trump's policies. If she got something better, great.
But I think, but here's the thing. It's like Trump's policies now are, I don't know how to say it. Again, this is where it gets kind of weird for me. because like before you came on, we talked about what RFK Jr. and with Nicole Shannon had done, and I'd heard about. I know what they represent. I know what they represent. So, and again, in a perfect world, if we could have everyone actually did vote, then I would seriously have voted for RFK if Trump wasn't in the whole thing. It was just a choice between Kamala and RFK. I'd go RFK. You know, if it were in that type of situation,
right?
Because again, on paper, everything he stands for in the realm of the things I care about, especially when it comes to nutrition and food and health, vaccines, medical, how things again, the industrial complex for everything is good.
I'm sorry, Ruben. The ladies, boy, they killing it. I mean, the audience is killing it, man. They doing
they really are.
Well, Haya
is on fire tonight.
Haya is a Trump girl. She is the 100% Trump girl. She is so much a Trump girl. She has spent the last 4 years quilting a Trump banner, and when she has it on her Twitter. Follow her on her Twitter account. And then but again, she just does amazing quilting and artistry and stuff. It's really nice.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up with a palate cleanser after all this stuff we've been shoveling down our throats or had shoveled down our throats. And this is compliments of Gypsy. So a little palate cleanser before we sign off. Even the birds of the air and the fishes of the sea know what you ought to be doing come November 5th, people. Telling you. Just telling you. All right. Let's wrap it up. Darius, where can people find you on social media? What can they do to help you out, brother?
Just look me up on YouTube and on Rumble. Of course, I'm on Twitter as well and Instagram. Real Talk with Darius. We just have conversations about relevant issues and things that interest me. Please join me. Check it out. Subscribe, like, comment.
Hang on. Well, hang on. I've got one more request here, and I'm trying desperately to find this. Vance's Miss America clip. Hang on. All right, Ruben, go ahead. Keep talking.
No, I was just saying you could find me on Rumble, YouTube, X at Ruben Haynes. I'll be putting more videos. I'm going to be launching some more stuff because again, I'm still recovering. I am weaker than I thought I was, and it's bothering me, but I'm going to keep on fighting my illness, get it back. And we're going to do some stuff coming out next week. Going to do some more video, get some policy things out there. Because again, we are at the cusp now of we're living history right now. It's not politics. It's not society. It's humanity. We're on the precipice of something that could be very, very wonderful with the coalition, the uniparty. I call it the unity party versus the unity. It's a unity party versus the uniparty. And we're doing that because again, what RFK is talking about, what Shannon is talking about, what Tucker Carlson's talking about, a bunch of people talking about, and again, when they say you're a conspiracy theorist and things are coming true, it's getting crazy.
Yep.
It's getting really crazy.
And gentlemen, everybody has suspected that this video, this interview tonight was heavily edited by CNN. Well, gentlemen, we have the unedited version. And we have the unedited version. I think we need to play this for the benefit of our audience. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the unedited version of Kamala Harris being asked questions by Dana Bash. With that,
recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries. So we will be able to build up our future for our.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
Well, there you go, folks. Yeah. And JD Vance posted that, folks. So just to let you know, he said, breaking, I've gotten the full Kamala interview on CNN. I'll tell you what, JD Vance has got a great sense of humor. He really does. All right, with that, let me do the sign off. Folks, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And I want to thank Ruben and Darius for coming on short notice. We are going to be back September the 10th for debate night. Now, gentlemen, you're invited. I'm going to invite a few other people. I'm going to see who else might want to join in the fun. But yes, we are going to live stream the debate. This is going to be, again, I'm not trying to hype it for more than what it is. I don't know what's going to happen. But if this interview is any indication of what's coming, Lord have mercy. All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and sign it off. Gentlemen, hang on. We'll say some proper goodbyes. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I will see you guys 6 o'clock Saturday evening for the Saturday Night Supper Club. Love you guys very much. Have a great night.